In 1977, a film arrived in European cinemas that seemed impossible to categorize. It wasn't quite mainstream, it wasn't underground, and it wasn't simply another romantic drama. Created by a photographer with no feature film directing experience, Bilitis became an international talking point, launched one of the decade's most memorable soundtracks, and remains a subject of debate nearly 50 years later. But how did a first-time filmmaker create a movie that people still discuss today, and why has its legacy become more complicated with every passing decade? Let's uncover the story behind Bilitis. To understand Bilitis, we need to return to the mid-70s. European cinema was changing rapidly. Directors were experimenting with more personal storytelling, and audiences were increasingly drawn to visually ambitious films that explored relationships, identity, and emotion in new ways. Into this environment stepped David Hamilton. Born in London and later based in Paris, Hamilton built an international reputation as a photographer known for his dreamy, soft-focus imagery. His visual style became instantly recognizable, appearing in best-selling books and galleries across Europe. Then, in 1976, he made an unexpected decision. He would direct his first feature film. The title Bilitis came from an 1894 collection of poems by French writer Pierre Louys. The poems were presented as ancient writings from a woman named Bilitis, connected to classical Greece. Readers later discovered the work was entirely fictional, but the literary allusion helped make it famous. Hamilton was attracted to the themes of youth, memory, romance, and longing. Working with future filmmaker Catherine Breillat and an experienced production team, he brought the project to life on the beautiful Mediterranean coast of southern France. Everything about the production was designed to reflect Hamilton's distinctive visual style. At the center of Bilitis is a young woman standing at the edge of adulthood. After leaving boarding school for the summer, Bilitis travels to the French countryside, where she becomes immersed in a world far more complicated than the one she is leaving behind. She finds herself drawn into the lives of a married couple whose relationship is already showing signs of distance and emotional strain. At the same time, she develops a connection with a young photographer, introducing her to new emotions and experiences. Rather than focusing on dramatic twists, the film unfolds through atmosphere, observation, and personal discovery. Hamilton fills the screen with sunlit landscapes, soft imagery, and a dreamlike sense of memory. As the summer progresses, Bilitis confronts questions about love, identity, and growing up. Yet the film refuses to provide easy answers. When summer finally comes to an end, she leaves with more experience than certainty. The relationships that seem so important begin to fade, and the story closes on a note of quiet ambiguity. That ending would become one of the film's most discussed elements because, much like Bilitis herself, audiences were left wondering exactly what it all meant. But Bilitis achieved something few films ever do. Its music became even more famous than the movie itself. The score was composed by Francis Lai, already celebrated worldwide for his Academy Award-winning work on Love Story. His soundtrack for Bilitis became a major success, selling more than 1 million copies and remaining popular long after the film left theaters. Even today, many people recognize the music without ever having seen the film. Yet while the soundtrack enhanced Bilitis's reputation, another conversation was beginning to follow the film. For years, David Hamilton's photography generated debate. Supporters viewed his work as artistic and romantic. Critics questioned where artistic expression ended and exploitation began. Those discussions followed Bilitis from the moment it was released. Decades later, allegations involving Hamilton emerged and sparked renewed public discussion about his career and body of work. These developments encouraged critics, historians, and audiences to re-examine Bilitis through a different historical lens. As a result, the film's reputation became increasingly complex. Today, discussions about Bilitis rarely focus only on its cinematography, story, or soundtrack. They also explore broader questions about artistic legacy, accountability, and how cultural standards evolve over time. Before we continue, consider this question. When we revisit a film from another era, should we judge it only by the standards of its time, Or should we also view it through the lens of today? It's a question that continues to surround Bilitis and many other films from cinema history. Nearly 5 decades after its release, Bilitis remains a fascinating artifact of 1970s European cinema. Its visual style captured a specific era. Its soundtrack achieved lasting international success, and its history continues to generate discussion among film scholars, critics, and audiences alike. For some viewers, it represents a beautifully crafted piece of cinema history. For others, it serves as a reminder that artistic works often become inseparable from the conversations surrounding their creators. Perhaps the reason Bilitis endures is because it exists at the intersection of both perspectives. Bilitis is more than a film. It is a window into a changing period of cinema history, one whose questions remain relevant today. If you enjoyed this deep dive into classic cinema history, subscribe for more untold stories behind the films, personalities, and controversies that shaped the world of cinema. And tell us below, how should history remember Bilitis?